Hey, I'm Katie. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you're having a great day. Today we are going to be doing a really huge book haul. So, story time. I went home for spring break, and while I was home over Christmas break and before I came to college and stuff, I worked at Dairy Queen. And so while I was home for spring break, I went to Dairy Queen to eat, and I guess I left a check there over Christmas break. So when I had this check that I wasn't expecting, I was like, well, I was gonna have to do without this money anyway, so I might as well spend it all on books, which fiscally a poor decision, but I'm not really that upset with myself. So, the first book for this haul is gonna be You Are Here by Jennifer E. Smith. If you guys don't know, Jennifer E. Smith writes The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight and a bunch of other cute, kind of cheesy romance novels. They all have kind of the same formula in the way that all of Rick Riordan's books do. It's, two teenagers who meet by some kind of crazy circumstance, and they grow really close because of that circumstance, and then they're separated by time or location or some kind of situation, and they kind of gradually find their way back to each other. So I'm really excited to read this. I think this is her newest book. I love all of her books. I mean, I have pretty much all of them that I know of, so I definitely would recommend them. I'm so excited to read them. If you like light-hearted, kind of fun, just romantic reads that you know are going to have a happy ending, that are really well written, I would definitely check her out. The next book is a Sarah Dessen novel called The Truth About Forever. So Sarah Dessen kind of has a similar way of writing to Jennifer E. Smith, but all of hers don't necessarily have the same formula. Some of them end with a romance, some of them have a romantic subplot, and some of them are all about getting over a romance. So this one, I think, is looking like it's gonna be a romance, so I'm excited to read it. Definitely Sarah Dessen is one of my favorite writers outside of fantasy. You can always count on her. If I read a book by her, I know it's going to be good. There's never a question. Next up, we have Until Friday Night by Abbi Glines. So basically, this book is about this guy who's, the jock, the guy that everybody loves, Mr. Popular, and he's in secret kind of been watching his father slowly die of cancer, and it's kind of eating away at him. And then he meets this girl, Maggie, who just came from somewhere where she witnessed her father murder her mother and is kind of, still getting over that, and she just moved to a new town and is trying to have a new life in the way that she couldn't, but also to move on and try to, understand and pick up the pieces after something like that. So I'm really excited to read this book. As you can tell, I have a lot of kind of contemporary, realistic, angsty, kind of all about getting over your emotions and kind of figuring out how to go on after things happen reads. Before this I had a big fantasy chunk, so I'm trying to balance it out, but as you will see, there will be a lot of fantasy coming up too. Next we have The Rules for Disappearing by Ashley Elston. So I'm really excited to read this book. It's got kind of a plot where the main character is in witness protection, and this is her 6th or 7th new place that she's gonna be, and she's really frustrated with this because she just keeps having to move on and restart life and all of the things that we expect from this type of book. And she meets this boy when she's living in Louisiana who can tell that she's hiding something and is pretty too smart for his own good. So I'm really excited. I read a fanfic with a similar idea plot recently, so I think it'll be really cool to read something that's similar but on a larger scale. These kind of books are always really interesting. Next up, we have A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. I've been hearing a lot of really good things about this book all over BookTube, and I've seen a lot of good ratings and stuff on Goodreads and things like that, so I'm really excited. I don't really know a whole lot except that the main character kind of becomes a student aide, and he is really excited. So next we have Nearly Gone and Nearly Found by Elle Cosimano? I don't know, I'm really bad at pronouncing names, I'm sorry. But So basically, I guess the main character, whose name is Nearly, has this power where when she like touches people's faces in the newspaper, she can like she knows things. She's clairvoyant, I guess, in when she does that. And so I guess some serial killer is going around, and so because of this, she's able to like kind of figure things out. But she is also really nervous because like obviously she doesn't know how to handle that. And the one person that she like can confide in is this reformed bad boy who is working undercover for the police to do surveillance on her. So, and then it's sequel. So I'm really excited to read both of these. I've never really heard anything about them, and then I saw them on thrift books and they were super cheap, so I figured why not. But I think they're gonna be really good. Next, we have two more in a series, An Ember in the Ashes and A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. I'm really, really excited to finally read these. I've been hearing good things for ages, and I just never got my hands on them. I wasn't sure if they would be my type of book, but like just looking at the covers is giving me goosebumps. So I really don't know what these books are about, and I think I'm gonna not read the backs and just kind of go into it because, you know, there are some books where it's just really fun, and I feel like especially with this series, like I did that with Throne of Glass, which, but I think with certain series like these, it's really cool to go in not knowing what to expect, and I really enjoy it. Okay, so then we have Scythe. In my head, I always pronounce this Scythe, like since Percy Jackson times when like Kronos had one, and it's never gonna not be Scythe in my head. Anyway, this book is by Neal Shusterman, who is one of my favorite authors. He writes the Unwind series, the Skinjacker trilogy, Ever Lost, Ever Found, those ones. He also wrote a really amazing book, Challenger Deep, that deals with schizophrenia, and it was so great. I loved that book. He's such a good writer. I love Neal Shusterman. So anyway, this particular book has to do with a world in which people don't die by any ordinary means. Like there is no natural cause of death. So there are like scythes or like Grim Reaper types, and these two kids are get picked to become like scythes in training, and they don't want to do it, but like that's what they have to do. So I don't know. I think that's such an interesting premise. So I think it could go a lot of different ways. I'm really excited. Next up is Breaking Beautiful by Jennifer Shaw Wolf. This kind of deals with this girl who wakes up after a car accident wherein her boyfriend died. And after she wakes up, she doesn't remember what happened, and she's not sure if the crash was an accident or not. So something sketchy is going on, and the police are investigating, and so she's kind of trying to like figure out what's going on after this whirlwind of, you know, a kind of situation. And also like in the process she has to like acknowledge some things that she's kind of been trying to avoid and deny and like hide from herself. So I don't know, it seems like it's going to be a really beautiful book. Beautiful. The next book we're hauling today is Never Always Sometimes by Abbi Alsaid. So this book is a really cute, kind of in the same realm as You Are Here type romance thing. So these two best friends, Dave and Julia, started making this list at one point, I guess, of like never things that they would never ever do in order to avoid being cliche and all of the things that you don't want to do because you're not like other kids. So I guess one day, after years of Dave being in love with her, because, you know, that's what happens in a very less painful Lady Midnight fashion, I'm hoping, she suggests that they just do every single never on the list, because why not? And of course, one of the nevers on the list is never date your best friend. So as they're kind of approaching that, I guess, this is going to talk about the way they feel and how they get to that point. So I'm excited for this one. I love cheesy, kind of cute little romances that happen in very relatable ways to like everyday people. Penultimately, we have Shackled by Tom Leveen. So this one has a very Natasha Preston type feel to me, like the seller especially. So basically, the premise of this book is that this girl, Pelly, watched her best friend be kidnapped 6 years ago. And so, like, obviously that was really traumatic. And afterwards, she went through, like, a lot of therapy and medicating and stuff. And then one day, she sees a girl accompanied by an older man who walks into the coffee shop that she works at. And the girl mouths, "Help me." And she realizes, like, this is her best friend that was kidnapped all those years ago. So then she has to kind of try to figure out somehow to like help her and get her friend out of that situation while also kind of dealing with those feelings that she tried to like push away and move on from that experience a few years ago because she, they didn't think there was anything she could do. So this should be pretty good. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of The Cellar, especially the parts of The Cellar that were from Lewis's point of view, just kind of that person who's like trying to save them while also trying to like not lose their own sanity because they're so worried. So I think this is going to be pretty good. Last but not least, we have World After and End of Days by Susan E. These are the second and third books in the Angel Fall trilogy. So I read Angel Fall like a year or two ago, and it was really good and I loved it. But I couldn't get my hands on the second one, and the third one wasn't out yet, I don't think. So then I was on Thrift Books the other day, and I saw all of them really cheap, and I realized that they were all out, and it just kind of brought back all those memories of like how much I loved the first book. So I'm super hyped to finally get to read these and finish the series and find out what happens, because it's definitely been something that's been bothering me for ages. And that is it for today's post-spring break impulsive buy I have no self-control with money book haul. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to put all the links for these with Barnes & Noble, Thrift Books, and Amazon below, so that like depending on what kind you want or what your price range is, you have a lot of options. So thanks so much.